Bottom left is Albino. Upper, the entire map is PartinG. He's playing Celestials. He's the best Celestial player. Is this on YouTube? 39 Stripes asks. Yes, I am on you. I am co-streaming on you. I'm multicasting on YouTube and on Twitch. If we're talking about, is this game? Am I casting this on YouTube? Well, no, I'm doing this live. I haven't pre-recorded this. But anyways, so we're here. This is Secluded Grove map 1 again. There's an overlay now. It's awesome. You can see supply, PartinG starting with a cap of 300 immediately. But you can also see energy. Or more importantly, I think this is power. The energy is power for the Celestial. So notice that he's a cap of 20 power. He's going to have to put some power nodes down very, very quickly. But anyway, so Albino again. So this map is probably second best for Celestials. The best, of course, is obviously Jagged Maw, which is not in the pool because you could run across the map very quickly, go and post up in your opponent's mana. There was not a lot that they could do about it. So kind of painful there. But as we can see, you can run onto the middle of the map with your arc ship and just take 2 bases for free. It's very, very good for Celestials. And yeah, 100% there. In my mind, Celestials have by far the best OSD. Like, I know a lot of people love the Infernals, sure, but Celestials, that kind of angelic quantum choir is awesome. But anyways, as we can see, so PartinG, he gets a collector array, which is how Celestials go. They start to mine. They just put a structure that sucks money off the Luminite setups, and you can make them do a little bit more by building prisms, but otherwise it's fine. But he goes back. Notice he drops one of the power banks. There we go. Maybe that's actually a link. Drops a power field, puts his arc ship there, turns on the laser cannon again. I forget what it's called. I'm blanking on names at the moment, but turns on the laser cannon so he can start to clear the creep camp that's nearest to him as quickly to get that financial injection. And notice what he's doing here. We can only see this on the minimap for right now, but he's not constrained to any area on the map. So he moves the arc ship forward, and every time he wants to establish a position, he's going, and he has that cascade field available to him immediately. So we saw a Bastion back at the creep camp. He's now got another Bastion, I think, on the way forward. And while he's doing this, he's building these morph cores that allow him to go and build more stuff. That allow him to go build more collector arrays that expand his economy. So right now he's going very quickly up to a 4. I don't even know if we can call him a 4 base, but a 4. Yeah, we'll call it a 4 base. He's a 4 base Celestial player. And morph cores, they do have this tiny anti-ground attack, but it is very, very little. I mean, it's killing these Lancers, but extremely slowly. As link nodes going down, of course, as well, but it's the power banks that really are what matter. Can I show some of the Celestial sounds? This is pre-recorded, unfortunately, Wolf Tech. I only have what I have. 39 Stripes, this game will be up on my YouTube eventually. Very quickly after we're done, actually. I'm going to edit it up. But yeah, so this is not even a particularly rush tactic necessarily, but because the map is, the entire map is your base, you can go forward and take advantage of this. So we see the power bank. It generates power that PartinG very much needs so he can keep his structures going, but also it gives energy back to these Argents, which do a lot more damage when they have energy available. They have this empowered blast that they shoot. Otherwise, they do a little bit less. As you can see right there, that's that big glowing shot that happens, and that's a lot of damage. But once they run out of energy, they're not really going to be doing that. Also, it's telling actually that PartinG, he's not going for vectors early. I think this is to make it a little bit fair because PartinG is just very good with vectors and rips people apart. But the arc ship, this is a tier 1 setup coming out of him. But also we should point out that the link nodes, while they do spread cascade field forward, what they also do is you can turn them into 2 different types of turrets. One is tier 1, and it's just a kind of a single target turret. And one's tier 2, and it drops sticky bombs on top of things. And you'll notice that because it has a red icon above instead of the yellow icon. And there we see the prisms as well. We have the Therium extractor going, collector arrays, PartinG's on at least 4 bases. It's kind of hard to tell in this build whether collector arrays have been taken or not. But PartinG, because he moves across the map and because this map is so good for Celestials, he's got this incredible economy, and he's just very quickly moving on to go and try to choke out Albino as much as he can. So Albino, he's got these 2 bases, but taking a 3rd base is going to be very, very hard. We got these Argents on the right side. We have this kind of linkage set up with just a ton of static defense outside of this natural. And yeah, Exos can be good. They got quick draw hustle, so they can move a little bit faster once they're doing damage. But I mean, Arc Station has 1800 HP. It's worth so much in terms of just being able to move and kind of holding this position. So it's going to be really hard for Albino on this bio setup that he has with just a couple Exos to really do too much to break out of this area. And not impossible, certainly not. I like what he's doing on the right side. He's just like, look, if I can't attack through this area, this is where PartinG has decided to build his base. I can go and maybe do things elsewhere. And that can be a bit of a weakness, actually, when we talk about how Celestials want to play. They build their areas up and they build very strong, but Argents are not the fastest units. You look at this, there's no drop, there's no recall. There's nothing that gives you a ton of map mobility. Yes, you can designate a prime, as we can see the mainframe and the Bastion here are designated as the primes. You can go and you can set those, but you still have production time, and the ability to kind of maneuver around the map is not the easiest thing really at all. So that is certainly something where you can try to abuse a Celestial maybe a little bit later into the game, where you go and they just can't properly respond to all your multitasking. Eventually, that's how I know Theory we're going to do his best of 5 after this. That's how I know he likes to approach things, where, yeah, you're kind of turtled up for a while, but then you get a bunch of Doombringers out, and you got a bunch of Gaunts, you start to take down the Collector arrays that can be a little bit difficult, actually, for our Infernal player to go or our Celestial player, excuse me, to go and properly defend. But for now, Argents are out, Kree are out. They're going to have their upgrades soon enough if they don't have them already. And of course, we can see right here, Prisms only can be made from the Therium Extractor. I'm blanking on the name of it at the moment. Only be built out of the Therium Extractor or the Arc Ship. So we see that happen. Notice that's why they're all in the middle, but they do boost Luminite income. They do boost Therium income. So that's kind of important to keep in mind. This is played on the frigate build, Thorsk. This is played on frigate. Fabricator, thank you so much, JXP123. We are learning all things together. But Albino's been able to take us third base, quick building things. We got the flyer. Man, I'm totally blanking on names. This is horrible. I know what these ones are too. We got the cats. We have the cats here ready to go. What are they called? Scanners. There we go. We have the scanners here. So PartinG, with this map control that he has, he's starting to send scanners all over the place to take that map control. And now we can see the Kree as well. They have that upgrade. They're rolling around. They're unleashing themselves in kind of this Beyblade type setup. And this can be a little bit awkward. You do probably want some Lancers, because Lancers are very tanky. But Kree can be a bit of a pain to engage into without some sort of splash damage or some sort of range damage that really allows you to do whatever you want. So because PartinG has this map control, though, as we kind of see him just spread out everywhere on the map. And by the way, I mean, Kree in this roll-up form, they're so fast that they're going to move in, and it's going to be a bunch of splash damage all of a sudden. Now they're going to back up. Some will explode. Notice they're splashing red. They explode. They do some damage. But that's kind of this hit and run style where you move in, the Argents have energy, they fire a couple of shots, the Kree move in, they fire a couple, they spin outwards, they do the Beyblade thing, they get some damage done, and then you back up and you go it again. You get healing from, I forget the structure, but you get healing from one of the Celestial structures, you get energy back from one of the structures, and you go from there. And again, behind this PartinG's taking the map. He has so many Collector arrays, so many Fabricators that allow him to go and do what he wants. And we are, right, this overlay doesn't have a game clock just yet, but we are probably 10 minutes or so into this game or something like that. By 12 to 14, the main base of Albino is going to mine out. So that is a bit of a problem, but he does have Vulcans on the field. He's getting into mech a little bit, being able to dash back from the explosions. He's going to have these medtechs that eventually are going to be able to drop nanoswarms on top of the Vulcans and heal them up. And he's building himself into an army that can be pretty powerful. It's splash damage. The Kree, ideally you have enough of them that the Kree get taken down before they make impact. Obviously they have that 3-second timer, but you can start to minimize the damage that they do. A whole bunch of options that you have available to yourself. So that's where we are right now. And the question now is, Albino, again, he's slowly building his way up to it. We can see the supplies starting to fall down just a little bit, which is there's kind of this play, right, where Celestials, they don't start with a ton of supply. They're building structures, but now that PartinG has all of this production, he has this map control. We're going to start to see him take the supply lead. Sabers popping out as well. You can see how slow they are before they pop their stim. And again, by the way, that stim doesn't make them attack faster. It just makes them move faster. But I think it's like 50 damage a shot. They burst things down. They do some of the highest single target damage in the game. As we can see that the Vulcans, they're just getting annihilated here. Just the target fire goes down. Vulcans have to dash away from this, and we don't have the nano swarms. So the Vulcans, they're not getting healed into this just yet. The repair turrets are there, but they're not good enough. And PartinG, he loses a lot of his creep, but the powerful tech units, these Sabers, these Argents on the back line, they're doing a lot. But there we go. There's going to be a bulwark. So the Buzzsaw turret's going to last a little bit longer, not long enough. And PartinG, he's had enough of this game. He's going to bust on through. Yes, there are some Atlases available, but I mean, we're going to see a lot of Bobs blow up there from the Krees. They find their way forward. And a single Atlas just isn't enough. Not yet. And it's funny, you look at this, and PartinG is just dumpstering this game. Okay, that's maybe not fair, but PartinG is having a very good game. And then you talk about people, and it's like, well, actually, a lot of people were saying in the test that Celestials are not very good. It's just that PartinG is so good at breaking this game. PartinG is so very good at breaking this game. And at this point, with the third base going down, the main base is going to mine out soon. Albino is down about 100 supply. It's not looking good for our Vanguard player. And now we got the Animancers as well. I don't know if PartinG has all the upgrades, but there we go. There's the smoke, so you can't really track them all that easily. Now, once they get in range or once they get attacked, they do go and that smoke goes away. And actually, the really cool thing about this, we talk about it, is man, Atlases are doing some good work, just not good enough. And the Argents are going to take it down. There's the GG. The cool thing about invisibility here is you can still see where there's like a almost like a hallucination, a projection that happens where the units are. And then when they attack, they lose that invisibility. So it's not nearly like Dark Templar level punishing. It's annoying, but it's manageable. Kind of like a blur. Yeah. If again, I keep going back to Dota for a lot of these equivalents because there are a lot of Dota abilities actually have strong parallels. But yeah, it's kind of like a blur. If those of you, if you play Dota and you're familiar with Phantom Assassin, it's like that, except if you look at him on the map. As Albino trying to be a little bit cute there, notice he's kind of blocking off the Luminite, so it takes a little bit longer for the Morph Core to go and turn itself into a collector array. So there is that. You can slow things down just a little bit, but Morph Cores, they don't do a ton of damage, but they do out DPS most of the 3 units that you get. They out DPS a Hexen, or they kill, yeah, they out DPS a Hexen. They kill a Scout in a reasonable amount of time. But yeah, so it's kind of like PA, except you can look at them on the map and you'll see them. They're just not interactable until they attack if you don't have detection. It's kind of how that works. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. I was really, so I'm casting this, and I'm also just looking at how people are responding, right? So that's, I'm very curious to see how people were going to respond to this, because this idea is very different. To the best of my knowledge, the way the Celestials play, we have not seen this in any RTS that I've ever played. I'll tell you that much. You don't have the concept of not having a base. It's wild. And I wasn't sure how people were going to take it. There's a lot of negativity in the RTS space. We saw that with the Uncapped reveal. And I also thought it was going to be really interesting because the Uncapped reveal is effectively RTS with no base building. Celestials this is base building. This is base building the map. Or this is base building the race. So very, very different. And I haven't taken a look at the comments yet, but at least the comments on YouTube for the trailer are actually really hype, which is pretty cool. Considering how kind of negative the other comments have been. So anyways, again, we're going to see PartinG. He's going to take his 3. It's hard to call it 3 base. We need to find his 3 mining setup, maybe. Maybe that's the way we talk about it. The number of mining. I, as a caster, I'm still struggling to figure out how exactly I want to talk about how things work. Oh, yeah, okay, he got the arc ship. He's going, and he immediately made the creep camp respawn at tier 2. So you're going to be able to get more of a... This is a camp that gives Therium, by the way, so he can go and make that happen. But he got the arc ship. I'm a little disappointed we didn't see things ascend to heaven, which is my favorite thing ever. But at least he has the arc ship. So, at least he respawned immediately. That happened. But anyway, so we see Albino is going for a very quick 3 command post setup. You can go power build, and effectively, this is the most naked build that you can go for. I think he got 1 barracks before he got the command post. But this is one of those that, no offense to Albino, and Albino, if you're watching, I love you. But this is the PartinG special. This is the thing that we see him do, as we see the Fabricator, by the way. So this allows you to, instead of send these prisoners back to the main base to go get your Therium, and it just goes back to the Fabricator. But this is the PartinG special. He rushes up to Arc Station and rushes up to get find the rich Therium patch, either a patch that spawns with a lot of nodes on it, or say double patch here, goes up to quick arc ship and just cranks out vectors. And yeah, they don't do the most damage, but they're hit and run. You play around, you whittle the Vanguard player down, and if the Vanguard cannot maintain their units, which is the big thing. Vanguard is all about keeping their units alive, getting the veterancy, making them have more HP, do damage faster, do more damage. All of that. PartinG just wears everything down. They can blink around. They're so mobile. And against a lot of the early game units, they do a reasonable amount. So PartinG he's just build optimized, and he annihilates people with it. Now, we do have a decent amount. This is not a hedgehog setup. This is a bunch of exos out pretty quickly. I don't know if this is gonna. I don't know if this solves anything or not, actually. So it's gonna be interesting to see. For now, though, he just has, because the economy scales so quickly as a Celestial player right now. If you play it right, you can get 3 bases mining so fast. You can just get a ton of vectors out very quickly, and even through the overcharge, which gives Bobs an additional 50 or makes them take effectively half damage. We see the vectors are just shredding the Bobs here as they find their way into the main base, getting damage done. And even with quick draw hustle, even as these exos have this speed boost, they get damage, or as they do damage, they're just not able to keep up with PartinG. Not quite. And even with them, we have the exo turrets as well. This flat cannon that does the splash damage is just not able to keep up with the vectors. And I think what we're going to have to see to properly handle this, more than anything, I think you just need to have some really good SimCity. I think that's kind of how if you're going to play against the style from PartinG, you got to find a wall off, and the ramps for right now are really big. So it's obviously not the easiest thing. But Albino's lost pretty much every unit that he's made. He's lost a decent amount of Bobs as well. And it's just behind this arc ships going, we're seeing bastions. Mainframes. I think that's a mainframe going forward. Just a bunch of stuff going forward here. Energy batteries going down. And PartinG doesn't really want to lose these vectors to the scary demon elk. Probably not good. But yeah, you do have vectors do have that vibe, right? Sneaky Snuck, that some sort of speeder from Star Wars. Yeah, it's my favorite thing about this, by the way. I don't remember all of the ability names, but every single aspect of a vector is a math joke. So a vector is in math, it's point A to point B. It's the piece of math that describes the direction and magnitude, or like the direction of something going from point A to point B. And their blink is a math name. I forget what it's called. But anyway, so every part of the vector is a math joke. I was talking to Monk about it. He's very happy with it. But even we can see here, as the Vanguard player gets to tier 2 and has this ability to go, and I forget how much XP it is. They have a top bar ability that goes and levels up effectively immediately to rank 3. They get their units up immediately to rank 3 when you get to tier 2. Even with that, and that was very broken. That's very good in the playtest. Not enough here. The critical mass. Albino was never able to build enough units. PartinG runs in with these vectors very early. SimCity, not quite there. Maybe Albino was trying to be a little bit too greedy, but I don't know. Again, this is just not solved yet. He wasn't able to ever build that critical mass of exos that could fight the vectors. And now we see what PartinG's doing. He's just dodging around and sniping things as they happen. And Albino, down 50 supply, is just not able to build army that he needs. He doesn't have the SimCity, he doesn't have the structures, doesn't have the army that allows him to go and properly defend against this. Meanwhile, PartinG has the map. Yeah, I will say the most annoying thing when you talk about how Celestials play, it is a little annoying to try to find where their arc ship's going at the very start, because they can go and they have some aggressive options, especially if you are not super good at the game just yet, like I wasn't. They just have aggressive options, and yeah, you can put something under the arc ship, but in general, it can be a little hard to track down. So I imagine they're going to have some solution to that, but like you spend the first couple minutes trying to figure out where exactly this arc ship is, especially on 4-player maps. So that can be a little bit annoying, but anyways, Albino is pretty dead in this game. Again, this PartinG is so good with his vector spam. It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, like it's funny. We're looking at this like, wow, Celestials are got to be the most broken thing ever. No, it's PartinG. If you look at the, I'm gonna pull up the untapped. Not what I wanted. I'm gonna pull up the ladder. And it's like PartinG has a bunch of PartinG had a bunch of accounts on top as Celestials, but it's PartinG's number 1, and then you have 3 Vanguard players, you have Theories, you have Theory Smurf, PartinG Celestials, Don Ilya playing Celestials, just grinding a bunch of games, just primarily he's good, but also he played 600 games on the account. And it's a bunch of Vanguard. If you look at the top 20, it's very Vanguard heavy. But PartinG just makes this race look super broken. And that's pretty good. Anyways, Albino's dead. Game 2 is done. Oh, that's awesome. PC Gamer. PartinG and Theory played a co-op game with PC Gamer. And they published an article, and the article's title is, I played Stormgate's new faction with 2 of the world's top RDS players, but even they couldn't save me from my own ineptitude. What a great title. I love that. But anyway, so I played a bunch of games in this map. I totally forget the name of this map, but this is, I mean, this map is wild. So you have the main base, and then you kind of have, if you look off to the left on the top side, you have a 1 Therium, 1 Luminite base. Sure, kind of fine. You have, but PartinG's of course going to take the double Luminite base that's just vertical. And this one actually is a little hard if you're an Infernal player, because you want to optimally, you want to take things perpendicular. You want to place your buildings perpendicular to these things, but to the Luminite area, to the Luminite mines, I guess. And you can't really do that on this map, not quite. So mining it efficiently is a little hard. Now, of course, if you are a Celestial player, you don't have to worry about that, because you can just drop your collector arrays on top. But it should be pointed out that this map is massive and has a ton of attack paths. As you can see, there are like 4 right, like at the start, and as you expand more on the map, this is a map that is very hard to track down where your opponent is. Also, early accessible. We can see right here, there are resource towers on these creep camps. We saw, I think we saw some Luminite ones taken earlier, but some maps have Therium resource towers. That's actually super broken, right? Any way you can effectively get a tech resource without having to mine that tech resource is a massive deal. It really allows you to do some interesting builds. So we see Albino going for that just as quick as possible. He's on 1 base for the time being. And this feels like a 1 base hedgehog build, where he's going to go and he's going to try to get a bunch of hedgehogs, get to tier 2. Was it command post tier 2? Anyway, tier 2 of the structure, start to level up these hedgehogs, get them to tier 3, these level 3 hedgehogs as quickly as possible, and try to just go inflict damage, inflict power on the map, just take control of the map. And we talked about the Luminite or the Therium resource camp. He's stealing one of the Luminite resource camps right now. And man, Lancers with their splash damage, that they changed the way this worked like 2 patches ago. On a lot of these early game camps, these Lancers are so good at taking them down because they just have the splash damage, so they can go take down 3 of the spiders at a time and then take down the next 2. And it's just really nice to go and really get and clear these camps incredibly quickly. And that is one of the strengths, by the way, of Vanguards in the early game. They have this they have a lot of map control. In Elephant, it was all all infernals all the time in terms of map control. But as we take a look at what's happening here, well, Vanguard have so many tools to get map control early, but PartinG, he's got his vectors out early. He's going to go take this Luminite camp back, and he's not going to get the bounty from killing the creeps, but he is going to get the Luminite overtime that we're going to start to see. But anyway, there's the top bar. We're tier 2 for the Vanguard. It's a level 3 hedgehog. This thing does a ton of damage. It's very tanky. That does a ton of damage. It's very tanky, so it does a really nice job of allowing you to just really lean into your opponent. So that's Albino's idea. He's going to have these hedgehogs. He's going to try to knock down some of the vectors as early as possible, but it's 3-on-1 and great shield there. So again, when we talk about tier 2, the other thing that you have access to every 80 seconds for a lot of energy, Albino he can drop a shield on top of his units. It has 1,000 HP of a shield, so effectively it's invulnerable in the early game. And if PartinG decides to go dive on top of a unit, that allows him to go keep that alive and make things happen a little bit better. So yeah, we saw Lancer go down, sure, but the hedgehogs stay alive. And again, these tier 3 hedgehogs are actually so important. Everything that Albino has done in this game, he doesn't have level 2, obviously not, he doesn't have a second base. He's on 1 base, but he's making up for that by taking 2 Therium camps, by taking a 1 Luminite camp. And that's allowing him to have a little bit more money than he would otherwise have on a 1 base setup. But he does have to get something done with this. He's very committed into this setup. PartinG's got 2 collector arrays. He's going to have a 3rd very quickly. He can go. And the economy is going to start to go like gangbusters. And I mean, the vector count's getting pretty high too. And also, by the way, we talked about all of these resource camps. Well, hedgehogs are going to get on top of a lot of these vectors right now. And we can see just how powerful they are with that upgrade. So PartinG blinks away. These vectors will take more damage for like the next 15 seconds until eventually they won't be able to blink their way back. That does have a timer on it. You can't just, you're not stuck there, which is nice. But anyway, they're going to blink forward. Obviously, they don't want to re-engage against these hedgehogs that fire 4 shots, that fire these big 4-shot volleys that do a ton of damage. And again, don't die all that quickly. So Albino has been able to go and secure that resource camp once again. Has been able to go and start to take his natural on the double Luminite setup. And he's got all these hedgehogs that are really powerful. So in the context of this series, Albino has been able to develop something that is actually pretty good for him. It's not perfect. And, you know, PartinG still has most of what he wants, but it is a start, right? It is this setup where he has units that can deal with the vectors, especially as he just keeps spending his energy. Notice, by the way, Albino's energy just keeps going down every time he hits, I think it's like 25 energy that gives him that heavy XP buff. And that's allowing him to go and again, make these hedgehogs tremendously powerful units. Oh, by the way, there we go! Apotheosis, he's sending him to heaven, the abduction. Gets all the money right there. Takes the base. And that's, of course, tier 2. You don't get that at tier 1, but PartinG, you can get to the Arc Station pretty quickly if you need to. So now he's got this healing field in the middle of the map, and we're seeing all these vectors. They're healing right back up the damage that they've taken. Albino's playing mech though, which is pretty interesting. He's got these hedgehogs from map control early on, and he's adding in a bunch of Vulcans as well, which technically should be good against these large clumps of smaller units that the PartinG's been able to build. But we're not there just yet. Albino hasn't reached critical mass where he wants to fight this army. And notice what he's doing with the scout, by the way, just keeping that in his army, giving him the power that he needs. Now targeting down some of these vectors, but the Vulcans, PartinG's just staying away from him. He understands that if the Vulcans, they spin up, it's a problem. So he's just going to dance around. And we talked about how many attack paths this map has. Well, PartinG's just going to find his way in. It's really hard to cover up everything. You can SimCity as much as you want. But remember, this is Vanguard. These are not Terrans from StarCraft. You don't have sensor towers. You don't have. You can use. You want to use the scouts is really the thing. You want scouts to kind of put them in areas where the enemy wouldn't necessarily hit, and that's your kind of advanced warning that you might have access to. This vector count's getting pretty scary. As much as we talk about Albino kind of getting what he wants, PartinG has built the supply lead. His economy is still really good. And again, we can't see how many collection arrays he has necessarily. But they're getting there. The question is, nice little bit of a flank here as we do see, one of the upgrade hedgehogs goes down, but not the tier 3 one. Now trying to get on things a little bit more. What desperately here Albino wants to do, he wants to put these vectors in a corner, get the Vulcans on top of them, start to shred them down. But Vulcans are not fast units. Attempted body block there from the scout, but it doesn't work. And we're seeing now vectors getting on top. Bobs are going to get pulled. Well, they're not getting pulled into this. They were going to go try to take another base, but vectors find them, they shred them. They're not in range of an overcharge whatsoever here. And again, without overcharge, these Bobs just get annihilated. Even still, vectors are starting to go down. Trades aren't horrible, but again, PartinG, he's got another hit squad of the vectors going into the main base, and already a lot of Bobs have gone down. So damage being done everywhere. The army of Albino is okay. The economy of Albino is terrible. Because again, in the main base, we're not taking a look at it right now, but vectors are just getting so much done. The entire Luminite line is dead, and yeah, here come the Vulcans. They're going to try to clean this up, but the damage has already been done. The economy of Albino is shot. He's going to have to find some way to go onto the other side of the map on like 5 Bobs that he has, 8 workers that he has. Just really not a lot. But this map is so big, and his army is so small for the most part, that it's really hard to deal with. He's not, I don't think he gets onto the other side of the map before PartinG has his defenses ready. So Albino's that's the shot. He got one opportunity, but it's not going to be enough. I don't think that Albino really is going to be able to get the damage that he wants to make this happen. Unfortunately for Albino, closest game we had in this series. Hey, Cyberjohn, you're saying this is the Protoss race. It's funny. I've heard people say, no, Celestials are like the Zerg race because look at their map control. I've heard people say, it's the Protoss race because they have power fields. I think the important thing to point out is it's kind of not. It's yes, and it's none of the above. It's all of the above at the same time. It's its own thing, and it's very different from anything we've ever had in any RTS games. Now the Kree spam starts, and man, Kree and your Luminite lines are just the most painful thing. They do splash damage when they engage. When they die, they do splash damage. And they shred. So, I mean, with the overcharge, the splits from Albino are fine. He does have an army on the other side that looks like he should be able to knock down one of the collector arrays. But yeah, eventually, I like the Argents as well, just for that burst damage to take all of these. What's the word? Wow. To take all the Hedgehogs down, to take the Vulcans down. But again, Albino, his economy shattered, his army not great. And PartinG, as Zhao James is saying in chat, PartinG is unstoppable. But again, that's a PartinG thing. Is look at those prisms running across. They look pretty fun. Look pretty funny. I don't remember them being that fast. They look like, but I don't think there's a speed buff on this map. So anyway, maybe it's just because they're going above and up and down above multiple levels is the thing. JXP123 points out, also notice that the Celestial Cleanse also cleanses the Vanguard top bar bubble shield. This is true, but again, because I didn't play as much Celestials, which unit has... Oh, no, that's the top bar ability, right? The thing that gives energy also cleanses, so you can go and knock the bubble shield away, which is actually super important because 1,000 HP shield is really annoying. And as G-Baz points out, PartinG did not use Mass Kree. They can be very annoying. Yeah, this is very much true. When they start rolling at you like that, and they just start... They live 3 seconds after they're dead, which means they do more damage, and then it's like a 50 damage in a burst. It can be really hard to take a fight. Now, obviously, if you're a really good player, you can cut away and get your splits happening, but it can be a difficult thing to do. But anyways, Albino is dead. That is the end, I believe, of our best of 3. Yeah, that's the end of the best of 3. So, PartinG 3-0. Shouldn't surprise anyone. Wait.